We have an alliance with the US, we've got to deal with him, but that doesn't mean that you're uncritical about it. He scares the out of me.
That this madman called Trump could have been elected.
The United States in the last 4 years has been run by a village idiot.
Right now, Gaza is in the grip of a humanitarian catastrophe, and the Israeli government must accept its share of responsibility.
Well, he of course has a view, but he doesn't speak for every Israeli.
We have been clear. The terrorist organisation Hamas can have no role in Palestine's future.
Today I'm pleased to be here with Minister Wong to announce that effective today, Sunday the 21st of September 2025, the Commonwealth of Australia recognises the state of Palestine.
Mate, you're not gonna believe this one. The so-called leader of the free world, Donald Bloody Trump, is out here humiliating Australia like we're some little sidekick tagging along to the big kids' party. Picture this, Anthony Albanese, our Prime Minister, flying across the globe to New York, fronting up for meetings that actually matter, representing us Aussies on the world stage. And then Trump? The bloke can't even give him 5 minutes. Not a handshake, not a chat, nothing. Just a cold shoulder, like Australia doesn't even exist. It's a dead-set slap in the face, and honestly, it's more embarrassing for Trump than it is for us, because it screams insecurity, arrogance, and the kind of short-sighted politics that makes him look like a clown in front of the world. Before we RIP into this Trump elbow showdown, where Trump ghosts our Prime Minister, throws a tantrum, and ends up humiliating himself more than Australia, smash that like button like you're slapping down Trump's ego on live TV. Subscribe if you're sick of America treating us like second fiddle. And grab the "Who voted for this" shirt, links in the description. Now, think about it. Trump's got time to sit down with the EU, Ukraine, bloody Argentina, even Qatar and Jordan, but not Australia? We're his closest ally in the Pacific. We've bled beside America in wars they started. We've backed them in every international scrap. We've housed their military bases. And when it comes to trade and intelligence, Australia's one of their tightest partners. But now, according to Trump, we're not worth it. Albo's left standing in a reception hall with 100 other world leaders, hoping for a handshake in the drinks line. Can you imagine that? Our PM, our top bloke, reduced to waiting like some random punter at the pub hoping for a photo with the star. It's humiliating on the surface, sure, but let's call it what it really is. Trump showing the world he doesn't respect alliances unless they make him money or headlines. That's not leadership, mate. That's a tantrum. And here's the kicker. Trump isn't snubbing Albo because he's too busy. The bloke's had time for photo ops, golf trips, and his endless rallies where he rants about witch hunts and fake news. He's dodging Albo because he doesn't like what Australia stands for right now. We're not falling in line with his cowboy diplomacy. Albo and Penny Wong had the guts to call out Israel for their role in Gaza's humanitarian disaster, and Trump didn't like that. He's clinging to the old reward Israel no matter what playbook, even if it means ignoring war crimes and human rights. And because Albo dared to step outside of Washington's shadow and actually take a moral stance, Trump's having a hissy fit. He doesn't want to deal with a leader who can't be bullied or bribed. That's the truth. But here's where it gets spicy. Australians are sick of being treated like America's lapdog. For decades, we've done what they asked, sent troops, opened markets, backed them at the UN. And what do we get in return? A humiliating snub on the world stage. You know what? Maybe this is a good thing. Maybe it's the wake-up call we've needed. Because Albo standing tall in New York, sticking to his guns about Palestine, climate change, and actually listening to Aussies instead of parroting American policy, that's leadership. That's courage. And Trump's refusal to even meet him just proves that the US president is more interested in surrounding himself with yes men than having an honest conversation with allies. If anything, Albo's stock rises while Trump just looks like a sulky schoolboy avoiding the tough chat. And don't buy the rubbish excuses that Trump's team is spinning. Oh, he's too busy. Oh, the schedule's packed. Oh, the focus is elsewhere. Absolute nonsense. The White House rattled off meetings with half the bloody planet, and Australia wasn't on the list. You don't accidentally forget a nation that anchors the Indo-Pacific. You leave them off deliberately, and Trump's reasons are as petty as they come. He reckons Albo scares him. Yeah, you heard that right. Years ago, Albo said Trump scared the hell out of him, and Trump's still sulking about it. Can you imagine a world leader holding a grudge over one line for years, while wars are raging and economies are crashing? It's pathetic. It shows Trump's thin skin and fragile ego, and honestly, It's proof that Albo's right not to kiss his boots. Here's what the Aussie media won't tell you straight. Trump is playing a dangerous game. By sidelining Australia, he's sending a message that the US can't be trusted to back its mates. And in the long run, that weakens America more than it hurts us. Because while Trump's out there making pals with Saudi Arabia and Turkey, Australia's looking east. China's rolling out the red carpet for Albo, welcoming him for a full week. And the message is clear. If Trump won't respect us, others will. That should scare the hell out of Americans, because losing Australia's loyalty in the Pacific would be the dumbest geopolitical blunder in modern history. But Trump's too blinded by his ego to see it. He thinks he's humiliating Albo, when really, he's humiliating himself and his country. Trump's whole brand is about being the tough guy, the dealmaker, the alpha male. But what kind of tough guy dodges a meeting with the leader of one of his strongest allies? It's weak, it's cowardly, and it's the opposite of what real diplomacy looks like. Albo, on the other hand, is showing resilience. He's copped the snub, held his ground, and kept pushing Australia's agenda on climate action, humanitarian aid, and standing up for the underdog. That's what leadership looks like. You don't cave just because the bully in the room is pouting. You hold firm, even when it's unpopular. And make no mistake, Australians respect that. We'd rather our PM stand tall and get ignored than bow down and get a fake smile for the cameras. Trump loves to parade himself as this master negotiator, right? The big man in the room who always gets the deal. But what kind of negotiator blanks his strongest ally just because he doesn't like the vibe? That's not strategy. Mate, that's schoolyard sulking. Anthony Albanese shows up, puts Australia's position on the table, and Trump ghosts him like some ex who can't handle rejection. And the funniest part? Trump thinks this makes him look strong. In reality, it makes him look rattled, insecure, and straight up petty. Imagine the leader of the United States acting like a spoiled brat because Albo had the guts to call him scary once upon a time. It's like he's carrying around a grudge the size of Uluru while pretending to be the big dog on the block. It's embarrassing for America, and it's humiliating for the so-called leader of the free world. And don't get me started on how this makes Trump look to the rest of the planet. Leaders everywhere can see through this game. They know Australia has been one of the most reliable allies the US has ever had. We've stood beside them through thick and thin, even when it wasn't in our best interest. Yet Trump is so caught up in his own ego that he'd rather have tea with leaders from countries who flip sides depending on which way the wind blows, while giving Australia the cold shoulder. That's not leadership, that's stupidity. Meanwhile, Albo isn't running around begging for attention. He's not on his knees for a handshake. He's out there in New York standing by his principles, speaking up for Palestine, calling out humanitarian disasters, and making it crystal clear that Australia won't be bullied into silence. That's strength. That's the kind of leadership Australians actually want. Now, let's get real. This whole saga exposes the rotten truth about Trump's presidency. It's not about allies, it's not about strategy, it's about Trump. Every decision he makes is based on whether it feeds his ego, boosts his popularity at home, or makes for a good headline. He doesn't give a toss about the decades-long alliance with Australia. He doesn't care about the sacrifices Aussies have made fighting alongside Americans in wars they started. He doesn't care about the trade deals, the intelligence sharing, or the fact that without Australia, the US is blind in the Pacific. All he cares about is whether Albo makes him look good. And because Albo's not willing to play lapdog, Trump has thrown a tantrum and iced him out. But here's the twist. That doesn't make Albo look weak. It makes him look bloody tough. Because real toughness is standing your ground, not bending over for a bully. What Trump and his cronies don't get is that Aussies have a very sharp nonsense detector. We know when someone's playing us for fools, and right now, Trump is doing exactly that. He thinks he can humiliate Albo publicly, and we'll all just laugh along. But the opposite's happening. Aussies are rallying around our PM, because we'd rather have a leader who cops a snub than one who sells us out for a photo op. Look at Scott Morrison, still bragging about his little bromance with Trump. That's not leadership, that's desperation. Morrison's the kind of bloke who'd shout you a beer just to remind you he once got a selfie with the cool kid at the party. Albo's not playing that game. He's focused on the bigger picture, Australia's future, our independence, our voice on the world stage. And that's why Trump can't stand him, because Albo won't roll over. Here's the danger though. Trump's arrogance doesn't just bruise egos, it puts Australia at risk. The US has always leaned on us in the Pacific, but if Trump keeps icing us out, it creates space for China to step in. And guess what? China's already making moves. They've given Albo the red carpet treatment, proper meetings, serious talks. They're showing respect, and Trump's showing the opposite. If the US loses Australia's trust, that's game over for America's influence in the region. And it's not because Albo's desperate for Beijing's approval, it's because Trump is pushing us away with his juvenile tantrums. The bloke is literally doing China's work for them, and he's too blinded by ego to even notice. That's not just dumb, that's dangerous. And Aussies are watching this circus play out, wondering how long we have to put up with it. But here's the thing that really sticks in my craw. Trump's idea of diplomacy is all about photo ops and power plays. He doesn't respect leaders who actually stand up for something. He respects the ones who flatter him, laugh at his jokes, and stroke his ego. That's why he'll sit down with dictators, why he cozies up to blokes who'd sell their own people for power. And that's why he can't handle Albo. Because Albo is cut from a different cloth. He's not perfect, sure, but he's authentic. He doesn't sugarcoat his views. He doesn't shy away from calling things as they are, whether it's Gaza, climate change, or America's endless double standards. And Trump? Trump sees that as a threat. Because deep down, he knows he can't bully or buy Albo like he can with some of the other puppets he surrounds himself with. And let's not forget the symbolism of all this. The leader of the United States refusing to meet the leader of Australia sends a message. It tells the world that Trump doesn't value alliances, that he doesn't care about history, and that he's too wrapped up in himself to see the bigger picture. But the beauty of it is, Albo hasn't cracked under the pressure. He hasn't winged. He hasn't begged. He's just kept pushing forward with Australia's agenda. That's a power move in itself. Because the truth is, Trump needs Australia more than Australia needs Trump. Our position in the Pacific, our resources, our intelligence sharing networks, these aren't small things. America can't just brush us off forever. And when Trump eventually realizes that, it'll be Albo with the upper hand. Because while Trump's been sulking, Albo's been building bridges, strengthening ties, and showing the world that Australia won't be bullied into silence. And here's the ultimate irony. Trump thinks he's humiliating Albo, but in the long run, it's Trump who looks humiliated. Leaders around the world can see that he's petty, vindictive, and incapable of rising above his own ego. They see that Australia has a PM who's willing to stand tall, even in the face of rejection, while the US president hides behind his fragile pride. And that contrast? That's powerful. That's the kind of thing that defines legacies. Years from now, people will remember Trump as the president who snubbed allies and weakened America's standing, while they'll remember Albo as the PM who didn't blink. That's how history works. It favors the ones who stand firm when it's easier to cave. And right now, Albo's on the right side of history, while Trump's digging his own grave. So, what does this all mean for us back home? It means we've got to stop looking at America as the be-all and end-all of our foreign policy. If Trump wants to play silly games, fine, let him. But Australia's future doesn't rest on whether we get a meeting in New York. It rests on whether we've got the guts to chart our own course, to build relationships that actually respect us, and to stand by our principles even when it's unpopular. And Albo's showing that we can do exactly that. He's proving that leadership isn't about chasing approval, it's about doing what's right. And for once, we've got a PM who's not afraid to cop a snub if it means standing up for our values. That's something to be proud of, and that's something Donald Trump will never understand. And at the end of the day, that's the real humiliation here. Not for Albo, not for Australia, but for Trump. Because every time he dodges our PM, every time he puts ego before alliance, he shows the world what kind of leader he really is. Small, petty, and weak. Meanwhile, Albo stands tall, speaks up, and proves that Australia is bigger than one man's ego. That's the story the world is seeing, and that's the story history will remember. So maybe, just maybe, this so-called humiliation isn't a loss for us, it's a win. Because it shows we've finally got a leader who won't be America's lapdog, who won't bow to Trump's tantrums, and who's not afraid to walk his own path. And if that rattles Trump, good. It's about time someone did. See you in the next one. And don't forget to smash that like button like it just stiffed our PM out of a handshake at the world's biggest networking event. And if you're really fed up with Trump's ego circus, grab the "Who voted for this tea?" chuck it on at your next protest, wear it to the pub when your mates bring up politics, or just strut into your local servo while paying $10 a litre and remind everyone that Australia's not here to play second fiddle. Stay sharp, stay loud, and never stop backing the Australia that stands tall, even when the so-called big dogs turn their backs.